Formula 1 returns to a very wet Spa-Francorchamps after the summer break, but this didn't deter any of the teams from getting out on track and testing their all-new upgrades. Williams is straight out onto the track to test their all-new B-Spec car, with early signs looking promising, with Robbie Kubica eventually topping practice 1, with Josh Tirowee in 4th. Toyota also out early to test their all-new effective 2017 Challenger, their all-new B-Spec Toyota running their brand new bespoke Toyota power unit as they brought development forward for the second half of the season. There's also a new name at Sauber as Thomas Laurent makes his first scheduled appearance of 5 for the Swiss outfit, as this race is the closest to his home country of France. By practice 2 the track had dried up and Red Bull were out testing their all-new Cosworth power unit upgrades, and Cosworth state they found gains of over 10 miles an hour in straight line speed. Pascal Wehrlein started the second half of the season in the best way possible by taking pole position for the Belgian Grand Prix, with Jean-Eric Vergne completing the front row in the Ferrari. Completing the second row of the grid will be Josh Tirowee in his all-new upgraded B-Spec Williams, with Max Verstappen with much needed power boost starting 4th. The two teammates of Max Verstappen and Josh Tirowee, Daniel Kvyat and Robbie Kubica, will line up in 5th and 6th in the second of the Red Bulls and the second of the Williams. Sebastian Vettel could only manage 7th on the grid, with Kamui Kobayashi starting as the lead of the Toyotas in P8 and was within a second of the pole time of Pascal Wehrlein. Kobayashi's teammate Lewis Hamilton will start from 9th, and Nico Hülkenberg with an impressive lap rounds off the top 10 for Renault. A very disappointing lap for Fernando Alonso sees the two-time world champion knocked out in Q2, only lining up 11th, and he's joined on the 6th row by Mick Schumacher in the Haas. Daniel Ricciardo will start from 13th in the second of the Renaults. He's joined on the 7th row by Lance Stroll in the second of the Haas BMWs. There'll be an all Toro Rosso row 8, with Pierre Gasly getting the better of Carlos Sainz by just under 0.02 of a second. There'll also be an all McLaren row 9, with Rio Haryanto getting the better of Carmen Jorda by 0.21 of a second, tying up once again ahead of his more experienced teammate. Running off the back row of the grid we have Thomas Laurent and Antonio Giovinazzi in both of the Saubers, and only 1,000th of a second separating both of them. Now come back onto us, starting in P3. Got Verstappen behind us there in P4, lining right up behind the pole seater Pascal Wehrlein. Did a lot better in qualifying than his teammate Fernando Alonso, 10 places higher than his more experienced teammate. Now just waiting for the rest of the cars now to line up on the grid, the Hasses and the McLarens, the Saubers. Of course, McLaren and Sauber not really making the gains over the summer that I imagine that they would have expected, of course still lining up, completing the back 2 rows of the grid, which is pretty much where they've been all season if you don't count Monaco, where the McLaren chassis really shone through to get Haryanto and Jordan further up the grid. Now coming to the 5 red lights for the start of the second half of the season, the start of the Belgian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. Can we get a good start? Looks like we haven't got the best of starts there, being challenged there by the 2 rebels behind. Kubica looks like a good start as well, but going side by side now on the inside there with Jean-Eric Vergne in turn 1. Going to be side by side now with Jean-Eric Vergne. Pascal Wehrlein's clearly there in turn 1, still side by side there with the championship leader Jean-Eric Vergne. Verlein's already streaking away to the distance now, keeping it side by side now with Jean-Eric Vergne coming to Rouge. Going to be side by side. Last time break just had to back out of it there, and don't want to keep it side by side there through Rouge there with Jean-Eric Vergne. Don't want to risk a crash this early on in the race, this early on in the second half of the season with our all-new upgrades yet to shine through. But now we'll have the slipstream on the back now. Oh, Jean-Eric Vergne going to go to the inside. Jean-Eric Vergne defends to the inside. Going to go around the outside now. Oh, Jean-Eric Vergne coming up now into turn 4. Going to keep it side by side with Jean-Eric Vergne. Going to have the outside line which then turns to the inside. And he managed to make the move stick there on Jean-Eric Vergne. You see there, it looks like our teammate Robbie Kubica had managed to get ahead there of both of the Red Bulls as well. So a good start from both of us Williams. And now we can still try and put these downforce upgrades now into good effect and try and chase down Pascal Wehrlein in that Mercedes. Of course, you know the AMG engine still isn't quite up to scratch with what our BMW engine is. Of course, with our all-new BMW power, should be even mightier in a straight line than what we already were. See now, keeping it pretty much flat. Now through Pill 1, which we wouldn't have been able to do with our previous car, and we wouldn't be able to keep flat any corners, which I was hoping to do in the early half of the season. See, Wehrlein though is still slightly pulling away from us. So it looks like Mercedes still does have slightly better air efficiency. They're running a bit wide. Still, the car still balance isn't quite there. Still getting a bit understeer, a little bit squirrely through some of the corners. Now cutting a bit further on, looking now at actually Max Verstappen, I think this is. So Verstappen actually made the move there on down the Kvyat. Now Verstappen right on the back now of our teammate Robbie Kubica. So Kubica not really finding the outright pace in this race that we have so far. They're coming down now into turn 1. See there Verstappen with DRS open, we're just not quite close enough coming to turn 1 because we're pretty much with a straight line speed. That causes power unit. They may have found some decent gains over the summer. It looks like they're still lacking compared to what BMW have found. Now coming up now, you see once again the Williams of Kubica there pulls away. So maybe Kubica Williams gets some really good runs there out of turn 1, but then through a rouge doesn't get the best of runs, and now stopping now with DRS wide open once again. Now gaining in the solution now on the back of Rory Kubica there goes defensive to the inside, making Verstappen there go the long way around the outside. Now coming up now into turn 4, can Verstappen try and outbrake Rory Kubica? Looks like he has. Kubica they're going to try hard over the inside, just hasn't got enough. Verstappen there using the superior chassis and aerodynamics. Always Red Bull. Now Verstappen there moves up into P4. Is either Daniel Kvyat or ordering 6th. Already falling quite some way behind, and they've got been changed there by both the Toyotas. So the Toyota are looking for some really good pace. So I think that's possibly Lewis Hamilton. Can't quite see because both the helmets of Hamilton and Kobayashi are so similar, and both of them are pink as well. So not that easy to tell which car is which. But I think that is the Toyota of Lewis Hamilton. See there, he's all over the back down the straight, but coming up through the corner, you can see the Red Bull there of Daniel Kvyat really pulling away there from the Toyota of Lewis Hamilton. So you see which superior the chassis and aero of that Red Bull is. But it seems with the straight line speed that the Toyota actually has the better engine than the Cosworth engine in the back of that Red Bull. So encouraging signs there for Toyota. I mean, there could be a dark horse in the remainder of the championship. Don't really know what to expect from them. I mean, we're expecting them to somewhere near the front like they were with the Mercedes power, but now coming down the back straight, you've got Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel there right up behind the back there of Lewis Hamilton. Let's see there already how much these three just really caught right back up again to the back now of Daniel Kvyat there in the Red Bull. So is Hamilton going to try and make a move coming up on the back now of Daniel Kvyat coming into the braking zone? Just not quite close enough there. Thought about making a move there. Decided both these also on the soft tyres. Then you've got Alonso and Vettel behind, also on the super soft tyres. So they're going to be stopping a lot earlier than what the rest of us are in front. So they're possibly going for an undercut. Probably still doing the one stop, but just going for the alternate strategy. Try and get an undercut, try and jump Hamilton here and Daniel Kvyat if they can't get past them on track before their pit stops. Now coming down. See there once again, Hamilton just losing out there in the traction out of turn 1. We see there, keeping pretty close there, Upper Rouge. See if he can keep the throttle planted, which indeed Hamilton does keep the throttle planted. See they're getting round to the back now of Daniel Kvyat. Now DRS will be wide open now. You can try and make a move on Daniel Kvyat. Once again, Kvyat there goes defensive to the inside. Now Hamilton can try and go around the outside now of Daniel Kvyat coming into turn 4. Going to be side by side between the 2008 World Champion and Daniel Kvyat can be side by side. Kvyat they can try and hold it right around the outside, which will then turn to the inside now. Coming now into turn 6. Still going to keep it side by side there with Hamilton. Hamilton on the racing line. Daniel Kvyat on the inside there, but Hamilton there with the extra momentum on the racing line. Manages to make the move there on Daniel Kvyat and moves ahead there of the Red Bull. So once again, really encouraging signs there for Hamilton. Hamilton really, much like we are in the Williams, really dragging that Toyota further up the order. But now Jean-Eric Vern's caught up to the back now, one of the cars in front, which I think has made a pit stop. I think the one of the ones that did the alternate strategy, starting on the supers and going to the soft, pitting on the safety car. They're coming down the back straight now. See that Van actually not able to make a move there on the car in front. I can't quite see what the car in front is. But whatever it is, it's got pretty much, it's got a load of trailer speed in it. Once again, possibly running a low drag setup like rest of the midfield cars you'd expect would be. Try and maximise their pace and try and get their best position that they can. See, they try and go around the outside of Jean-Eric Verne, trying to find any way around the outside there of Jean-Eric Verne, because that car in front really is holding up Jean-Eric Verne. They're going through the second sector, so pretty much through here. We're just going to stick behind Jean-Eric Verne. There's pretty much nothing we can do to try and make a move in front of him. Because that car in front of Jean-Eric Verne is currently on the podium. So of course, if they haven't got to stop again, they're going to be putting up one mighty fight there to Jean-Eric Verne to try and keep. Will be some valuable third place position there for the team. So you've got yellow flags in the front, they now turn to green flags. So possibly someone gone off there, had a bit of an accident, but it doesn't look like the track's clear now. So now coming down the back straight, Johnny Van will be gaining in the solution on the back of that car in front. So like the car in front is actually pulling away there from Johnny Van. We're getting a good run now in the solution on the back now. Oh, Johnny Van, we're going to pull to the inside now, try and make the move on Johnny Van. The Van did to us early in the race, and they make the move on the inside there. Oh, Johnny Van, that's actually large Stroll in the Haas. Coley on the podium position there, so Stroll doing a great job there for Haas. But I don't think that's going to last much longer, because surely Stroll will be instructed by Haas, by BMW to let us through, because we are in the bigger team. Of course, I don't want it. Of course, if he wants to fight us, then fair enough, because I understand in a podium position, but I think he will have to let us through. Pretty much will be an instruction I would expect from BMW. See there, Van really not getting the best of exits out of the final corner. So Van actually losing quite a bit of time to us now. So there's very possibly got some issues with his car, perhaps some power unit issues, or he's just saving some fuel, saving some tyres to try and mount an attack further later on in the race. But he's let us go through. See, he's already losing quite a bit of time onto the back of us now. There's now we'll have the DRS installation now on the back of Lawrence Stroll in the Haas. Now Stroll can try and make him. Stroll can put him in the Stroll there. Moves to the inside line. Has a look for us through there. Coming up now inside and breaks early. Stroll there. Good driving there from Stroll. Unfortunate there to lose the podium position in the way that he has, but that's pretty much the way it is when you're in the B team. Got to make way for the bigger team. So now that puts us up now into third. Now I can try and chase down whoever's in the lead. Now cutting a bit further on because Jean-Eric Verne is still stuck up behind the Haas here of Lawrence Stroll. So Imagine it, with Haas running a low drag setup. That Haas is going to be absolutely mighty in a straight line, even faster than what our wins will be. I don't see any way that Verne can try and get past the Haas here of Lance Stroll. Just running some mighty straight line space setup. Of course, through the second sector is going to be struggling there, because through the second sector there's not really any way you can make an overtake. But now Pascal Wehrlein can keep side by side. Look, try to make a move around the outside there. I'm trying to coming up by Rouge, but once again, the more these two squabble, the more this is going to allow Lance Stroll to pull away in 4th position and possibly hold on to a brilliant P4 position there for the Haas team. And now Stroll, now Wehrlein's going to try and go around the outside now. Jean-Yves Van goes for 3 wide there with Toyota. Toyota then just had to back out of it. Wehrlein there on the inside line makes the move there around the outside there. Jean-Yves Van to move up now into what I think should be 5th position. And now Wehrlein can try and chase down after Lance Stroll. Stroll going to put one hell of a thing. He's held up for Ferrari. Let's see now if Lance Stroll can try and hold off Pascal Wehrlein in the Mercedes for the rest of the race. And they're coming up now through the second sector. It shouldn't be that long to see the Mercedes with the superior chassis narrow. Will be gaining all the time now through the second sector on the back of the Haas, so it shouldn't be too long until he tries to make a move. Now cutting all the way now onto lap 21. Only 1 lap left to go. Pascal Wehrlein now has got ahead there of Lance Stroll, but Mick Schumacher in the Haas is currently leading the Grand Prix with 1 lap left to go. We're trying to hunt down after the Haas, and so we know no BMW powered cars took a win in this race in this season so far. It could be that, as it stands, that Mick Schumacher in the Haas could win BMW's first race of 2017. It could be for the B-Spec car, not even for the Williams. And once you can see, we're chasing him down, got Pascal Wehrlein right behind us. Now Mick Schumacher's only got 1 lap left to go, and he could take his first victory at the track that his father Michael Schumacher also took his first victory in Formula 1 for Benetton as well. Now coming up over Rouge, Mick Schumacher could be feeling, I can't even begin to imagine how much pressure Mick Schumacher is feeling now, leading the Grand Prix, possibly having to let us through, but also wanting to win this Grand Prix. I'd happily let Mick Schumacher win this race. Honestly, I do not want to overtake him. I do not want to take this away from Mick Schumacher. Now coming up now back straight, got Pascal Wehrlein gaining around the back of us once again, turning back straight. Wehrlein there just a bit too far back, trying to make a move on. So all throughout this lap, Wehrlein will be gaining on us. Also, we gain on the back of Mick Schumacher. There's also a set of soft tyres, so Schumacher's just at all the disadvantages there, being in the B-team car, being in a slower car, less aero through the second sector, on slower tyres as well. So we've just got the more grip, the faster car, the better aero. Seeing how much we're already gaining through the second sector on the back now of Mick Schumacher. Schumacher surely is flooring that Haas further. His throttle pedal must be through the floor at this rate now. And they've got Pascal Wehrlein right behind Wehrlein. They're getting a much better run through the second sector than what we are. All up on the back of our gearbox now, getting side by side with us and trying to find a way around us. There's no way through the second sector. They try and find a way to get around there outside. No, we've only got 1 straight left to go, and the bus stop chicane. And see how much you're gaining on the back there. On the back of Mick Schumacher. I think Schumacher made a lot of it slightly there, lost a bit of time to us. Now Pascal Wehrlein will have 1 straight left to go. He's got 1 opportunity left to try and make a move on the back of us now. All of that because the Wehrlein's they're going to pull to the inside of us now, giving Wehrlein just enough room there, just about squeezing him off the track. They're going to be side by side now with Pascal Wehrlein, holding around the outside. Going to be side by side now with Pascal Wehrlein. Come now into bus stop chicane. He's trying to dive it back on the inside. They're breaking. Be side by side now with Pascal Wehrlein. Going to be side by side. Wehrlein there around the outside. We're going to turn the inside, but we're on the racing line. Going to try and get momentum around the outside. Going to be side by side. I think we're just going to get it in front there of Pascal Wehrlein. Indeed we do. But Mick Schumacher in the Haas is going to win the Grand Prix and take his first ever career victory in Formula 1 at the same track that Michael Schumacher's father took his first victory for Benetton. See there, Gunther Steiner looking ecstatic there with Haas's victory. Of course, BMW finally getting on the board, taking a victory. But I imagine that is not the team that BMW were expecting to take their first victory of 2017. But now there's Mick Schumacher rightfully celebrates his first ever career victory in Formula 1. And maybe for him, his first of many. I mean, he didn't have the best start to his career in Azerbaijan, crashing into the pit lane. And I'll show you that he's proved the critics run there, proved that he does deserve to be in Formula 1, taking what will be, I imagine, an emotional debut victory for the young German. Formula 1 returns to Monza, the Temple of Speed, for the 13th round of the 2017 season, the Italian Grand Prix, with the race expected to be an even fight between Ferrari, Mercedes and Williams, with all 3 teams having different strengths and weaknesses around the 3-mile track. There was much questions hanging over Josh Tirowee's future in Formula 1 about what team he'll be at next season. However, it's now come to light that Williams has stamped a staggering $300 million buyout clause on the defending world champion's contract, all but securing him at Williams for next season. Toyota were first out in FP1, testing some ultra low drag front and rear wings that they brought for this one-off meeting to hope once again to take the fight to Red Bull in the race and in qualifying. Red Bull also brings some low drag front and rear wings of their own, as Cosworth still find that they're significantly down on straight line speed, despite the significant gains they thought they found over the summer break. Suttle also announced after FP3 that this would be his final season in Formula 1 and they'll be retiring after the 15th Grand Prix to make way for Thomas Laurent to race for Sauber for the rest of 2017. Fernando Alonso will start on pole position as he usually does in this 2017 season, with Sebastian Vettel completing the front row for Ferrari. For the second race in a row, Josh Tirowee will start from third position and he's joined on the second row by Pascal Wehrlein in the second of the Mercedes. Once again, the third row will consist of Robert Kubica and Daniel Kvyat, with this time Kubica getting the better of the young Russian to line up in 5th for Williams, with Kvyat in 6th as the lead Red Bull. It will be Toyota 4th row lockout, with both Hamilton and Kamui Kobayashi within 3/10 of the pole time of Fernando Alonso. Poor lap from Jean-Eric Vergne, the current championship leader, sees the Frenchman only line up in 9th, and he's joined on the 5th row by Max Verstappen in the second of the Red Bulls. Nico Hülkenberg will start just outside the top 10 from 11th, with Lance Stroll only managing 12th, despite the power advantage of the Haas BMW. Stroll's teammate Mick Schumacher could only manage 13th best in qualifying, and he's joined on row 7 by Pierre Gasly in the Toro Rosso. Daniel Ricciardo will start from 15th and the second of the Renaults, and he's joined on row 8 by Rui Harianto as the lead of the McLaren Hondas. Carlos Sainz, with a very poor lap, will start from 17th, and he's joined on row 9 by Antonio Giovinazzi as the lead of the Saubers. Running off the back of the grid for the Italian Grand Prix, we have Carmen Jorda in 19th for McLaren and Adrian Sutil on the back of the grid for Sauber. Now coming on to us now, starting in P3 with a Ferrari of Vettel and Alonso on pole. Of course, if you remember back to Season 2 2015, when our first race for Williams was here at Monza, and we started from P3 in that race, with a Ferrari and a Mercedes in front of us on that race as well. So, can history repeat itself? Can we take our first victory of 2017, which will also be Williams' first victory of the 2017 season as well? That's waiting for the back few cars to line up on the back rows of the grid, the two McLarens, the two Saubers. We really haven't found any gains over the summer break, I really imagine, from what they were expecting. But now coming to the 5 red lights for the start of the Italian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. Can we get a good start for our P3 position? So you get a good start there from Robert Kubica, going to make it 3 wide of ourselves and Pascal Wehrlein. So pretty even fight between Sebastian Vettel and Fernando Alonso coming down to turn 2 as well. Kubica actually gets ahead of us now. He's turn 1. Kubica going up to 3rd week side by side now with our teammate coming to turn 1. Bit of a lock up there from Robert Kubica. We've still got Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel going side by side now for the lead of the Grand Prix. It's like Alonso's just going to get in front there of Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari. Then we got our teammate Robert Kubica. Despite the fact we've actually dropped down to 5th now behind Pascal Wehrlein, so we've had a terrible start yet again. Another terrible start in the 2017 season. And we've got a close battle in front of the top 3 already pulling away from Pascal Wehrlein. And we've got one of the Toyotas looking very racing right behind us as well, along with Daniel Kvyat in the Red Bull. And then Jean-Eric Vergne in the Ferrari as well. We see there. We're now in P5. It looks like Wehrlein is actually pulling away from us already, so possibly some issues with the car. The starters not finding the pace I mean. And we are running with over 3 laps extra fuel, so imagine that's making some difference, but we've run with pretty much 3 laps extra fuel for the whole season, so I don't really see why that would be causing issues. But he got the proximity arrow of Kamui Kobayashi behind us. Kobayashi was an amazing top end speed, of course, with that low drag Toyota. I mean, the Toyota power unit is pretty decent anyway, and give that a low drag setup, that's going to be mighty in straight line, maybe even challenging the Haas's for outright top speed, maybe even us as well. But through the corners, of course, running a low drag means they've got less errors. So you see through Ascari, we pulled away a bit there from Kamui Kobayashi, looking around Parabolica, we were getting a bit of time through here though, but because Monza is pretty much a straight line, ideally you want top end speed over aerodynamic performance, which why Red Bull is so far back, because they've got aerodynamic performance, they just haven't got the straight line speed to go with it. Now we've got Sebastian Vettel gaining in slowly on the back now of Fernando Alonso coming down to turn 1. Is Vettel going to try and make a move up the inside of the 2-time world champion coming down to turn 1? No, just a bit too far back. That's a stick behind Fernando Alonso. A bit of a lock-up there actually from Sebastian Vettel as well. But I don't think that's going to cost him any time, because with how durable the tyres are, flat spots aren't really much of a danger unless you completely turn them square with a huge lock-up. But a lock-up like that from Sebastian Vettel really isn't going to do his tyres any bad. Now we've got Robert Kubica right up behind the back. Sebastian Vettel coming down into second chicane, but Kubica just a bit too far behind there. That's to stick behind the 5-time world champion coming down through the Les Modes. And of course, through the Les Modes, there's pretty much no way you can make an overtake. And look, of course, unless you're going side by side into the Les Modes, then there's pretty much no way you have to make an overtake. You have to stick behind the car in front, unless You can't really make a, this is how the corners are, you can't really make a dive to the inside. Of course, if Williams have turned up Kubica's engine, it's going to be pretty difficult for that just to make a move. Could be actually gets defensive to the inside. Now Kubica defending to the Vettel trying to go around the outside now of Robbie Kubica into Taylor. We'll be side by side between the two of them now. We'll be side by side. Vettel there on the inside line. We got Kubica on the racing line. There's going to be side by side still. Can Vettel try and get it around the outside? Side by side now, coming around into Curva Grande. And Kubica there looking right up inside. I see a good view there from Robbie Kubica telling me just how close Sebastian Vettel and Robbie Kubica are getting there. Going to be fighting now on the inside. Kubica trying to hold it around the outside, which will then turn to the inside. He has made it stick, and Vettel there gets a compromised line out of the corner. That's now, because we're trying to go around the outside now of Sebastian Vettel coming in now into the last. It's going to be side by side with the 5-tower, which we just tried back in from in there to get forced off the track there by Sebastian Vettel. We've got Johnny Van catching right onto the back of us now. With how much we're battling with Vettel there, Keith in front for the time being. But now we're going to have DRS now on the back of the German. We're going to pull to the outside once again of Sebastian Vettel. We made the move ahead there. Vettel there trying to keep it on the inside line, but it's no use. We made the move in front there of Sebastian Vettel there. Very good defensive to the inside in case Vettel tries to make a dive back up or outside. Getting a pretty good line there through Ascari. But now Vettel's going to have DRS now on the back of us. Try and make a move going back down now into Parabolica. Trying to keep with us now in our slipstream, because we will be getting a bit of slipstream off the back of Robbie Kubica in front, because Kubica's not that far in front of us. And now coming around Parabolica once again. And now we go right to behind once again. This Vettel going to try and make a move on us now, coming down now into turn 1. So you got DRS now, because and then Verne will have DRS on the back of Sebastian Vettel as well. Now Vettel there getting on the slipstream, getting in our DRS. Now he's going to try and make a move to our inside. He's going to think about it. It's still sticking right to behind us, using our overspeed to advantage. Vettel pull that inside. We just have enough overspeed, thinks about it, but then has to pull back in behind us. So once again with our overspeed, really it's just looking like we have the advantage in the straight line speed. Because that's the advantage Williams would have coming into this race. His straight line speed goes through the corner, through Parabolica, around the Lesmos, goes through the chicanes. Really make much difference, because the chicanes are low speed, so that really made much difference. So Vettel looking all over the back of us there, actually pulling away from Johnny Van, of course, with our straight line speed. And Vettel keeping us actually good purple there through the fast sector. We go purple through the fast sector without slipstream or DRS off the car in front. So pretty much now that we've been unleashed from behind Sebastian Vettel, really are able to try to put our foot down and to pull away, trying to catch up to our teammate Robbie Kubica in P2 and try and get anywhere close to Fernando Alonso in the lead of the Grand Prix. We get a pretty poor run there through a second of the Lesmos, and that's to give Sebastian Vettel run out back. We'll see got the proximity area there for the 5-time world champion behind us. He's gaining on a slipstream with our DRS, but he's just not quite close enough. And coming into Ascari, we were still able to keep it in front there of Sebastian Vettel. Of course, this is holding up with Jean-Luc Verne as well, really ruining the Ferrari. I mean, I don't think Ferrari have won their home race since 2010. I think when Alonso won it, so it's been a long time. And of course, with the stuff behind us now, they're just losing time to us, Robbie Kubica, and of course Fernando Alonso. They're cutting a bit further on. They're looking at one of the Toro Rossos, and the other half of Longshore actually got one of the Mercedes right up behind him there. So, man, that must be Pascal Wehrlein. I think Alonso's still leading the Grand Prix, so Pascal Wehrlein there was finding some really poor pace in this race. He's dropped loads back now. He goes down the straight. Actually, no, actually all three of them are going to come into the pit lane now. Going to be a battle of the pit crews now between Toro Rosso, Haas, and Mercedes as well. Now, who's going to come out on top here? I don't quite see which Charles is. I think that might be Carlos Sainz in the Toro Rosso. Because I'm going to stay on board here with Lance Stroll. See, because Stroll with the end pit box. What tyres is he going on to? He's going to a set of super soft tyres taking to the end of the race. He's been held in the pit box there, though, for Pascal Wehrlein to come out. So, Wehrlein there coming to pits. I don't know why Wehrlein's coming to pits again, unless he had some kind of car issue, slow puncture. But imagine that Wehrlein would have been in the one-stop as well. So I don't really know why Wehrlein's coming to the pits again. But I didn't seem to see what tyres come out. He's going to come out there behind one of the Saubers, so all three of these guys got a lot of work to do. They're cutting a bit further on. They've all cut onto the back now of the Sauber of Adrian Sutter. Of course, this is going to be Sutter's final ever Italian Grand Prix. And this is a race where he took his best ever finish in Formula 1 back in Season 2 2015. Got the 4th place finish. Now he's quite a lot further down in 4th place in this race today. Now coming around Parabolica now, you've got Sainz in the Toro Rosso right up behind the back of the Sauber. And that's going to be a Dragon Thunder Tunnel. Because there's power now, V-Runner power, then we've got a bit of AMG power right up behind the back of both of them now. And we've got Wehrlein now pulls to the inside now of Carlos Sainz. Going to make it 3 right now, going to sandwich the Sauber in the middle, going to blast past the Sauber like he's not even there. That's going to be late braking now between Sainz and between Pascal Wehrlein. Sainz on the inside line, which will then turn to the outside there for Pascal Wehrlein. Sainz just gets it there on corner race, it forces out Pascal Wehrlein. Of course, this is a home race also for Toro Rosso, so a bit of home pride here for Toro Rosso, as well as beating currently a works Mercedes AMG. And now once again Wehrlein getting insulation now on the back of Carlos Sainz, coming down to the second chicane. And once again Wehrlein's not close enough to the back of Carlos Sainz. Imagine the Toro Rosso running a low drag set as well to maximise the pace of that Renault power unit in the back of it. And now coming up now through the Lesmos, he's still got Adrian Sutter holding up Lance Stroll at this point. This really is not helping Lance Stroll, because Stroll on the super soft tyres, and he's using the pace to his advantage here, whilst Pascal Wehrlein stuck here battling with Carlos Sainz, but now Verline we're getting in the DRS now on the back of Carlos Sainz, and now Verline pulls to the inside now of Carlos Sainz, coming up into Ascari. He makes the move there just before the braking zone. Goes a bit wide though, cuts off any attacks that Sainz tried to come back with, and now Stroll has managed to make the move ahead of Raging Soto, but now we've got Carlos Sainz getting in slipstream now on the back of Pascal Wehrlein once again. He's getting quite a bit in the slipstream here. Now coming around parabolic, this is going to be where Sainz falls away slightly because he hasn't got the downforce in the chassis that the Mercedes has. But now Sainz also will have DRS once again off the back of Pascal Wehrlein. We see Wehrlein's already pulling away with that superior power of the AMG power unit. See that Sainz is gaining in the slipstream, coming down into turn 1, but he's good unless he goes for an almighty dive bomb, which thankfully he doesn't. I think Sainz pretty much there is going to have to admit defeat and try and defend from Lance Stroll. And now moving all the way now onto lap 26 to 27, we go Pelgrim there through the second sector. See how much we're pushing, trying to catch up to Lance Stroll, but I don't think there's anything we can do to try and catch up to our teammate Robbie Kubica in front of us, because we're not going to catch over a second's gap in one lap unless something goes drastically wrong. We have managed to pull a decent gap over Sebastian Vettel, who's still kept in front at this point, ahead of Jean-Eric Vergne. Now looking up front now at Fernando Alonso, still leading the Grand Prix. Pretty much is led this race from start to currently now coming on to the final lap now of the Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso starts final lap of the Grand Prix. Unless anything drama's happen, I don't see any way that our teammate Robbie Kubica can try and catch up to Fernando Alonso. Alonso there got one of the back marking in front. He looks like one of the McLaren. I think it's all flash of orange in front of him there. So Alonso, unless any dramas happen with trying to lap the McLaren, I don't see any way that Alonso can lose this race with only 2.5 sets left to go. Now looking a bit further back now, second in the battle, we've got one of the Toyotas here, and then there's Lewis Hamilton now coming up to try and overtake one of the Renaults. Can go down to Parabolic, trying to come up on the inside, coming to Parabolic. No, he's not quite close enough there. Trying to catch onto the back of the Renault of Daniel Ricciardo, I think that is actually. So Ricciardo then once again, like I said, was in good pace, beating Nico Hülkenberg. Both of these on a set of soft tyres now can be Renault power v Toyota power, because Hamilton with DRS now pulls to the inside now of Daniel Ricciardo coming down the straight. He breezes past the Renault pretty much like he's standing still. There's so much more speed in that Toyota power unit. And their defence to the inside coming now into Tower, and Hamilton makes the move stick there on Daniel Ricciardo. Looking up front, back at Fernando Alonso. Alonso has kept it clean there. It looks like lapping the McLaren there. We've got another car up in front of him, but I don't think Alonso's going to try. I don't think Alonso's going to catch which is the other car in time. So Alonso's only got to go around parablocking now for the final time, so hopefully there's no dramas here for Fernando Alonso. Could now come around parablocking for the final time. He's not going to run wide spin off. I've seen races that have been thrown away in the last lap before. Now Fernando Alonso is coming up to the finish line, and Fernando Alonso is going to win the Italian Grand Prix in dominant fashion, leading the race from start to finish. Going to be second place for our teammate Robbie Kubica. So they're just not quite close enough. He was catching but wasn't catching enough, and we're going to take home third place to round off a 2-3 there for Williams, and what could have been and possibly even a race victory for us. But they can see Toto Wolff looking very happy with Fernando Alonso driving wide one. I mean, once again, if Alonso can get up front, which he has, he can just prove his pace. But if that Mercedes is stuck in traffic, then it's a whole different story. But Alonso there taking yet another victory to add to his already impressive tally. But I think that's only his second or third victory of 2017. Formula 1 returns to the Marina Bay Street Circuit for the 14th round of the 2017 season, with many in the F1 paddock expecting yet another crazy race outcome for the 4th year in a row, after Josh Tirowee would take victory from Marussia here in 2014, Danica Kvyat for Red Bull in 2015, and Daniel Ricciardo last time out in 2016 taking victory for an underpowered Renault. Toyota continue their rapid development of their car for this season to bring a whole new redesigned floor to once again take the fight to Red Bull in qualifying in the race to try and secure 5th and 6th positions at least in both of the sessions. Williams brings some all-new rear downforce upgrades after continuing to see Josh Tirowee struggling for traction out of corners, and hoping that with some more downforce on the car, Williams can finally take their first victory of the 2017 season. Multiple rumours now also speculating that McLaren and Honda will part ways at the end of this season, despite McLaren having a contract with Honda for power units until the end of the 2024 season. Both Williams drivers would put the new downforce to good effect, taking a front row lockout, with Josh Tirowee getting the better of Robbie Kubica by only 0.03 of a second. Danica Kvyat with an inspired lap will line up in P3 for Red Bull, with Sebastian Vettel the lead of the Ferraris, only starting from P4. Current championship leaders Jean-Eric Vergne will start from 5th, with Lewis Hamilton putting the Toyota downforce upgrades to good effect as well, lining up in 6th. Pascal Wehrlein will start as the lead of the Mercedes from 7th, and a very impressive lap from Rio Haryanto will see him line up in 8th for McLaren Honda, taking McLaren Honda's best qualifying of the season. Max Verstappen will start from 9th in the second of the Red Bulls, with Fernando Alonso struggling in qualifying, only managing 10th place on the grid. Lawrence Stroll will start from 11th as the lead of the Hasses, and he's joined on row 6 by Carlos Sainz as the lead of the Toro Rossos. The second of the Toro Rossos of Pierre Gasly will line up in 13th, and completing the 7th row of the grid will be Nico Hülkenberg in the lead of the Renaults. Poor lap from Kamui Kobayashi would see the popular Japanese driver knocked out in Q2, only lining up in 15th, with Mick Schumacher getting knocked out in Q1 starting from 16th. Daniel Ricciardo will start from 17th, with Carmen Jorda joining him on the 9th row, 10 places behind her teammate Rio Haryanto. Lining up on the back row of the grid is Antonio Giovinazzi and Adrian Sutil in his penultimate race in his F1 career. Now looking back onto us, lining up in our first pole position of the 2017 season, with Kubica starting on the front row and then Kvyat in 3rd. Crucially, with Jean-Eric Vergne starting down in 5th. So once again, it's much like last season. Just after the summer break, Jean-Eric Vergne just seems to lose his edge a bit, lost a bit of his pace. And the Ferrari has gone back a bit. I mean, Williams have made some mega upgrades over the summer break, but it seems that Ferrari haven't made as many gains, maybe focusing more towards the 2018 car now, just pretty much doing what Braun did in 2009, building up their lead at the start of the season so they can focus on next year's car despite them becoming Mercedes, and just having enough of a lead that no one can catch them in the remainder of the season. Now it's waiting for the back rows of cars to line up now. Carmen Jorda and the two Saubers once again find themselves in their usual time positions right at the back of the grid. It's really not been their season so far. Now coming to the 5 red lights for the start of the Singapore Grand Prix. Lights out, and away you go. Can we get a good start alongside the team? Kubica looks like a pretty even start to the team. Actually, Kubica looks like he's got an amazing start there. He's actually going ahead of us now. Coming to Telmo. Kubica is way clear of us now. Coming down into Telmo, side by side now down to Kvyat. And Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari and the Red Bull going to be side by side. Vettel on the inside line. But Kvyat trying to hold it around the outside now on the racing line. Kvyat hold it around the outside, side by side to them. Kvyat almost getting forced onto the curbing there. It's like Vettel's got the room, but Kvyat's just going to keep his nose up the inside. Is he coming up now into territory? Going to be side by side between the two of them still. It's like Kvyat's just going to keep his nose up the inside. Now it's going to be Cosworth Power v Ferrari Power in a direct race now. Coming up now into the fastest, but Vettel managed to get from, but Kvyat now getting some good slipstream now to try and come back now. As Sebastian Vettel goes defensive to the inside, Kvyat can try to hold it right around the outside, have to go the long way around. We can't quite manage it. Vettel managed to actually outbrake down to Kvyat even before the corner. So now Vettel moves up now into P3, demoting down to Kvyat down to P4. Got Rio Haryanto here, still doing a good job to hold on to what I think is still his starting position of P8, so a good start there from Rio Haryanto, getting a good start there, and actually still ahead of Fernando Alonso. So Alonso's got ahead of Max Verstappen. So Alonso getting half the job done, but now, once again, Alonso's previous teams are just coming back to haunt him. Remember back, I think it was to Canada, where he was stuck behind the Renaults and the McLarens then, but now he's stuck behind the McLarens in the dry once again. I mean, this isn't the first time that Haryanto and Alonso have found themselves on the same piece of track, with Haryanto having to put up a mega defence drive. Like, looking back onto us, we still kept it in P2, just behind our teammate Robbie Kubica, and Vettel there still in P3 too. On the mini-map, the gap, me and Kubica have already pulled over Sebastian Vettel, so pretty much like back in Belgium in practice 1 in the wet, the Williams working really well in the wet conditions, and that's not really something that we've seen too much of. And the Williams, going back to the start of the season, I mean, Buemi starting in 5th and 6th, and the wet condition really didn't suit our car, but whatever work the BMW and Williams have done to give us this mega car for the second half of the season really does look to be working well. And Vettel, surely, he's already pulling away slowly from Daniel Kvyat, but he's just way behind us. I mean, the Ferrari chassis and aerodynamics is still pretty good. Now looking back now, Rio Haryanto is still holding up Fernando Alonso. See the gap already in front. That Pascal Wehrlein and the rest of the front of the midfield have already pulled over the Indonesian in 1 lap, but Haryanto surely is not going to care about that. He's going to try and hold on to his position, of course, because Sauber's still, despite them not scoring any points at this point in the season, still only 2 points behind McLaren Honda at this rate as they're coming into this race. So a good result here from Rio Haryanto should pretty much secure McLaren Honda 9th place at least in the constructors. Now coming up now to what would be the DRS rates if it was dry, because it's not dry, it's still just being on pure slipstream, but you'd still think that an AMG Mercedes would easily be able to outdrag a McLaren Honda coming down the straight, with Alonso gaining in slipstream now on the back of Rio Haryanto. Once again go defensive to the inside. Alonso trying to hold it right around the outside line and keep it side by side now with the Indonesian Haryanto there, just giving Alonso enough room there, forcing him over the curbing a little bit. trying to clear the run, but still keep it side by side now, going up now into the second sector, and on the outside line, which then turns to the inside for the next corner. It doesn't matter. Alonso's got a terrible exit there, and he manages to have to slip back in behind Rio Haryanto. And really put him now under pressure from Max Verstappen now in the Red Bull, and all the other midfield cars stuck up right behind as well. It's like with that one of the Saubers in front, going side by side with a few cars in front there. So the Sauber there going really, they've pretty much just gone off the track there, almost come back in front of us there. There's one of the Saubers behind. The Sauber there still on the intermediate tyres, so really not working out well for them. We almost will lop off a wheel once again, getting very close to the walls, playing pretty much chicken here with the barriers, how close we can get to them. We're just trying to minimise the corner apex, is trying to pretty much straight line as much as we can to lose a little time. So we've got one of the cars in front of us again holding on. It's actually one of the Renaults that stayed out for an extra lap, so a few cars staying out for an extra lap. You see that Sauber pretty much couldn't even stay on the track now on the wet tyres, and now we've got one of the Mercedes here, Pascal Wehrlein, trying to make a move around the outside of Daniel Kvyat and the Red Bull. Kvyat can try to hold it up the inside line, coming out to turn 1, and there's the inside line once again, coming out through turn 2. Pascal Wehrlein trying to hold it around the outside. Pretty much going to be side by side on turn 2, then the Pascal Wehrlein gets a good run there out of the hairpin of turn 2, and then he makes a move in front of Daniel Kvyat, but now Kvyat, I think, might have DRS to come back at Pascal Wehrlein. I don't quite say he's got DRS. I think Wehrlein might have the DRS actually, so Wehrlein with DRS now just going to pull away from Daniel Kvyat and the Red Bull. Now got Hamilton already all over the back of Daniel Kvyat. Now Kvyat wants to have to get defensive to the inside line, just keeps it in front there of Lewis Hamilton in the Toyota, and we've got us right up behind as well, and then quite a gap to the car behind us, which I don't quite know who the car behind us is at this point in time, but still, Daniel Kvyat, I think this would be a track where the Red Bulls excel. I mean, Kvyat got third in qualifying. We know the Red Bull has good strategy in aerodynamics, and there's Fernando Alonso behind us in the other Mercedes. And of course, the more time we lose here behind Daniel Kvyat, it's just going to allow Fernando Alonso in that Mercedes to catch up to us if his pace is any better on the dry tyres than it is on the wet tyres. Daniel Kvyat really just haven't found the pace on the dry tyres, which he did, unless that Red Bull was set up for one lap pace to try and nab a pole position. I mean, pretty much like Monaco, if you can get pole around here, then you're in a pretty good position to go purple through the second sector, but that's not really a surprise since it's everyone's first lap on the dry tyres, the ultra soft tyres, so everyone will be going faster in the same purple sectors through the sector. Of course, now it's going to be pretty much be almost like a happy hour at this point of just fastest laps, lap by lap, with everyone saying fast laps, because as the track dries out, we'll just lay down more grip on the tyres anyway, so the track will just rubber in at each lap now that goes on in the race. Now coming through the final sector again, quite up to going to the back of Hamilton as Kubica sets the fastest lap there of the Grand Prix. So Kubica finding some good pace now, and we have DRS now on the back of Lewis Hamilton coming down into turn 1. Hamilton of course still has DRS on the back of the Red Bull in front of him, but still pretty much just has to remain in status quo through turn 1. Now coming through turn 2, try and dive around the outside of Hamilton. We just haven't got enough alongside to try and find a move around the outside of Lewis Hamilton. All this is just allowing Fernando Alonso and the cars behind to catch up to us. Now as we come around now, what is the first of the DRS straights. Now Hamilton will have DRS on the back of Daniel Kvyat. See, Kvyat is already out of DRS range on the back of Pascal Wehrlein. Now Hamilton with the DRS, he can try and make a move on Daniel Kvyat. Kvyat goes defensive to the inside line, coming up now into the first sector. Kvyat with a huge lock on there, spotted Hamilton out wide. We just dive up the inside of both of them there. We're just very opportunistic move there for both. With Daniel Kvyat locking up horribly on the inside line, forcing Hamilton out wide. And I managed to make a move there on the 2008 world champion and Daniel Kvyat. So Hamilton, despite getting past Daniel Kvyat and net, has remained in the same position, but Hamilton doing what he needs to do, doing what Toyota has set out to do. And currently, as it stands, I don't know where Verstappen and Kobayashi are, but at least one of the Toyotas is now beating one of the Red Bulls, which we know is Toyota's main aim for the remainder of the season, to take the fight to Red Bull. And now we can try and chase down after Pascal Wehrlein, who's got maybe 3-4 second lead on us. Then we can try to set down Sebastian Vettel, who's trying to chase down our teammate Robert Kubica, who's in the lead now of the Grand Prix still. Now moving on now to lap 11, 5 laps further on, we've now caught up to the back of Pascal Wehrlein, who's got Hamilton still behind us in the Toyota. And on the minimap you can see that dot behind us is Hamilton. And they've got quite a gap to Daniel Kvyat, so Kvyat really not finding the pace on the dry tyres. So that Red Bull must have been set up for one lap pace to try and get a pole position and then hopefully try and defend from us. But now we have DRS on the back now of Pascal Wehrlein, going up now into turn 1. We're just too far behind the back of the young German, trying to make a move on. We see we're just gaining so much time on this Williams, and there's something about this Singapore circuit really suits our driving style. And we've seen from the last race that I think the Williams might actually now be the car to beat on pure pace. Now come now to the second of the DRS. Now we've got Daniel Kvyat now out of the Grand Prix. Now we've got, is the safety car deployed? This is what DRS has now been disabled, which has been called out. Now we've got a safety car called out now. So nightmare race for Daniel Kvyat. And that may actually explain why he was going so slowly, if he's had some sort of car failure, unless he's had a crash. And actually he's got one of the throws now, he's trying to Van coming up behind him. Of course, Vernon and Kvyat, the teammates from last season, the Ferrari and Jean-Luc Vergne just seemed like the dominant combination of the early half of the season. And now what's going to happen here? He's coming down the main straight. So unless they have a crash, I don't really see what's going to happen here to Daniel Kvyat. Unless Kvyat coming to the pit. No, Kvyat's staying out. Unless he gets it wrong around here, which he doesn't look like he has. So I don't really know what's going to happen to Daniel Kvyat here in a straight line. He's got Alonso up in front of him. I can tell you, engine failure for Daniel Kvyat. Now Vergne, they're getting a face full of Cosworth power unit. And that pretty much just ends the nightmare race for Kvyat. I'm still behind Sebastian Vettel, getting in the slipstream of the 5-time world champion. Couldn't even see Pascal Wehrlein in the mirrors now. Wehrlein's that far behind us. Now coming down this tail, we're just a bit too far behind Sebastian Vettel once again, trying to make a move on the 5-time world champion. Now coming up now, round turn 2, trying to get a good run out of here, trying to use the power down. Once again, getting a bit squirrely on the exit, trying to put the power down a bit fast, because with the might and the power of being a power unit, pretty much we do have to use a bit of throttle control, because with our power advantage comes more wheel spin. Now we will have the sushi now BMW power v Ferrari power coming up now into turn 4, trying to make a move on the inside of Sebastian Vettel. It doesn't look like we're just not quite close enough to the back of Vettel. We have to stick behind Sebastian Vettel for a bit longer in P3. With Pascal Wehrlein falling into a no man's land of his own now in P4, and I think Fernando Alonso in the second Mercedes is still in P5. And see, yeah, Fernando Alonso is still in P5, so 4-5 for Mercedes as it currently stands. Now cutting a bit further on, looking at a battle further back now, I've got one of the Renaults of Daniel Ricciardo holding up one of the Hasses, which I think is Lance Stroll. And it's pretty much like us, Stroll has the easy power advantage over the Renault, but of course the Haas aerodynamics and chassis isn't quite there, so Stroll pretty much having to feather the throttle here to not get a lot of wheel spin, because with that Renault having less power from the power unit, the Renault Daniel Ricciardo be getting a lot less wheel spin. So despite the Renault being on paper the slower car, in the wet conditions the Daniel Ricciardo might actually have the advantage here, because of course less wheel spin from a less powerful power unit, but he's able to put the power down with possibly better aerodynamics. He's going to be doing a lot better in the wet conditions, but Stroll with that might of the BMW power unit can possibly try and get somewhere close to Daniel Ricciardo to try and make a move on the Australian, and they'll come around the final few corners. There you can see through the corners Ricciardo pulling away from Lance Stroll, so it really is advantage Daniel Ricciardo as it stands. Now cutting now onto lap 29, so only 2.5 laps left to go in this race. We're now down to 15 runners, so surely Sauber have got to get some points out of this race. And now coming up right behind the back now of Sebastian Vettel, coming up now into turn 4, we're just a bit too far behind once again to make a move on the 5-time champion, running out a bit wide over the curbing there. Thankfully we don't spin out over the curbing, because you know, remember back to Hungary with Hamilton put a wheel on the white line, pretty much locked and went straight on and getting us a position there. Now we still got Pascal Wehrlein in the Mercedes behind us, along with Fernando Alonso in 5th in the second of the Mercedes, and Vettel getting a good run out of the corners. Just using that traction, using that downforce advantage. Imagine Ferrari have turned his engine up now to try and hold on to this P2 position, pretty much where Vettel has been since lap 4, since we changed from the inters to the right tyres the first time. Trying to go around the outside now of Sebastian Vettel into the hairpin, trying to get a run around the outside, we just can't quite manage it. And Vettel there getting a pretty good run out of the corner, managed to keep it in front of us now. Coming up now, can try making a move on the inside of Pascal on Vettel like we did on Pascal Wehrlein, can make a dive on the inside of Sebastian Vettel, keep side by side with Sebastian Vettel, but Vettel on the racing line, just going to get the move back round the outside of us to keep it in that P2 position. Of course, the more we battle, the more this is going to allow Pascal Wehrlein to catch onto the back of us. Now coming up through the third sector of the lap, pretty much nowhere through here, we're going to have to make a move on Sebastian Vettel. We're just going to have to stick behind the Ferrari through these corners. And of course, you can't even see Robbie Kubica on the map anymore. He's that far in front. So Kubica with some mighty pace in this race, mega pace. Of course, in the wet conditions, Kubica pretty much has looked unstoppable ever since Belgium in that FP1. And now coming up now to lap 30, so only 2 laps of this race left to go. Running out of opportunities to try and make a move on Sebastian Vettel. As he come down his tail once again, Vettel actually pulling away from us at the end of the lap. So Vettel with some good straight line speed in that Ferrari. So is that Ferrari lower drag? Imagine that Ferrari must be low drag, because we were keeping so much closer through the corners, but Vettel with enough straight line speed is able to pull away from us through the third sector. Of course, the third sector is pretty much low speed corners, so high downforce to low downforce really isn't a difference, but through the middle sector of the lap, the second sector, we do get quite a bit of time. They could into braking for turn 4 once again, was just too far behind. So we're already 3/10 behind Sebastian Vettel, but that 3/10 is enough for us to be too far behind to not make a move and challenge for second position to make it a Williams 1-2. And now he's coming now around the second sector of the lap for the penultimate time. Vettel they're running out a bit wide, gets a bit of a poor exit because that throwing must be low drag to be getting a poor run through the corner because the wet conditions as well. You see how torrential the rain is. It might even be time for the wet tyres, how much the rain's coming down now, because coming onto the final lap of the race, there really is no point in us pitting now with only one lap of this race left to go. And now once again getting very close to the back of Sebastian Vettel on the brake and trying to get a better run out of the corner, but Vettel there gets a better run of us out of the hairpin because we have to take a bit of a wider line. Yeah, coming up on the braking now, going up now into the third sector of the lap. See how much slower, 11 seconds slower down on what our fastest lap was in the dry conditions, so pretty much proving how slow we are now. Surely this is full wet tyre weather now. This is pretty much getting to monster weather. See, thankfully though the track lights aren't really reflecting off of the side, get very good, actually hitting to the wall there, almost lop off our front wheel. That could be very, very risky there, almost lopping off our front wheel there onto the wall, almost throwing away what would be a podium position. And of course we're still ahead with Jean-Eric Verne, so we're still going to gain points on the championship lead in Jean-Eric Verne. Looking at around the final corner for the penultimate time now to start lap 31 to 31, the final lap now of the Grand Prix. You can see now we're 8 tenths behind Sebastian Vettel, so Vettel there with a good final sector, because we lost a lot of momentum hitting into that wall there before the bridge, because like I said earlier on in the race, there's been quite a few incidents around there and we almost added to the list of incidents under that bridge section. Now coming up now to what would be the first of the DRS straights if we're in dry conditions still. Now this is going to be surely our final chance to make a move on Sebastian Vettel, with the team Mercedes looming ever close right behind us now, gaining in the slipstream on the back of Sebastian Vettel. Once again, we're still not quite close enough to Sebastian Vettel coming on now to break it, but Vettel locks up, runs out wide. Vettel just bottled it on the final lap. We made the move in front of the 5-time world champion Sebastian Vettel and get up now into second position. It's currently a Williams 1-2 as things stand, but surely is Vettel going to try and fight back us? And Vettel does have the pace on us around the second and third sectors, it seems, and we just can't keep close to him. And now Vettel is actually falling away from us now, so Vettel, surely without a low drag Ferrari, just through the corners, isn't gaining his time, but coming up now through turn 8 and turn 9, Vettel is gaining on the back of us, but I don't think there's anywhere that Vettel could try and make a move back us. He can go for a dive with the inside coming into the hairpin. Thankfully he doesn't. See Vettel there on the left hand side actually has a bit of front wing damage, so that might explain why he was going slower than we were. But now Vettel gaining is actually falling away, not actually gaining anything on us, actually falling away, falling into the clutches of Pascal Wehrlein in the Mercedes co. Wehrlein now third place on the final lap of the race. Now looking at Robbie Kubica, it hasn't put a foot wrong all race, has led the race from start to finish, effectively if you don't count Jean-Eric Verne and Fernando staying out for that extra lap on the dry tyres. But now only 2 corners left to go for Robbie Kubica. Robbie Kubica comes around the final corner, coming on the finish line, and Robbie Kubica wins the Singapore Grand Prix to take his first victory since Canada 2008, and his first victory for Williams BMW. Let's see the fireworks going off now, the trees glowing there in the light. Now we're coming around the final corner, no drivers for us either. Now we're going to cross the finish line, we're going to make it, going across in second position to make it a Williams 1-2, Williams first 1-2 of 2017, with Sebastian Vettel there in third, Pascal Wehrlein in fourth, and Fernando Alonso rounding off the top 5. Formula 1 returns to Kuala Lumpur for the Malaysian Grand Prix, and for what many are suggesting could in fact be the final ever Grand Prix here in Malaysia, as the contract to host Grand Prix runs out in the end of the race on Sunday, and many sources are actually suggesting that contract negotiations between Liberty Media and the track owners actually broke down, and there will not in fact be a contract renewal, so this could be the final ever Malaysian Grand Prix, and a final opportunity for Mercedes to impress main title sponsors Petronas, with Fernando Alonso and Pascal Wehrlein stating they're more motivated than ever to take the victory in what could be the final showing. And this meant that Mercedes were first out on track, putting in as many laps as they can to get everything right, try and get all the settings and setups correct for the race on Sunday. Fernando Alonso topping practice 1 and practice 2, with Pascal Wehrlein eventually topping practice 3. Toyota brings some all new redesigned side pods for this race meeting and for the rest of the season, as Kobayashi is retired from the last 2 races due to overheating issues with his Toyota power unit, and despite more drag, hoping that the high consistency will bring more good points for the team. Toro Rosso have now confirmed that they've signed both drivers now for next season, but they're keeping tight-lipped on who the 2 drivers will be at the Italian team, leading many to believe that Red Bull have also signed both their drivers for next season. Adrian Sutil comes to what is expected to be his final race in his Formula 1 career, unless he manages to find a drive at another team next season. This will be his final race before Thomas Tirowee takes over. Fernando Alonso impresses Petronas on what could be the final showing, taking pole position, with Jean-Eric Vergne, the championship leader, completing the front row as the leader of the Ferraris. Daniel Kvyat with an excellent lap will start P3 for Red Bull, with Josh Tirowee once again starting from 4th in the BMW Williams. Sebastian Vettel starts on 5th in the second of the Ferraris, with Lewis Hamilton, the lead Mercedes, starting from 6th. Lewis Hamilton's teammate Kobayashi will start from 7th in the second of the Toyotas, with Nico Hülkenberg joining him on the 4th row starting from 8th as the lead Renault. Robbie Kubica drops to 9th after a 5-place penalty for a gearbox change after qualifying, and he's joined on row 5 by Lance Stroll as the leader of the Haas BMWs. Very poor lap from Pascal Wehrlein, see the German line up 10 places behind his teammate, and he's joined on row 6 by Mick Schumacher in the second of the Haases. Carlos Sainz will start from 13th as the lead of the Toro Rossos, with Rio Haryanto managing to get his McLaren Honda through into Q2 to line up in 14th. Daniel Ricciardo will start from 15th in the second of the Renaults, with Pierre Gasly getting knocked out in Q1, only lining up 16th in the second of the Toro Rossos. Giovinazzi will start from 17th as the lead Sauber, joined on row 9 by Carmen Jorda in the second of the McLaren Hondas. Adrian Sutil starts from 19th in what could be his final race. Max Verstappen starts from the back of the grid after a water leak with his power unit prevented him from setting a lap time. Now coming back onto us, starting from P4, pretty much where we started every race the second half of the season apart from Singapore, now lining up just behind Daniel Kvyat, putting an excellent lap in that Red Bull, because that Red Bull with that excellent chassis and aerodynamics, and of course with the nature of this circuit, with that middle sector being much all high speed corners, the Red Bulls do find a lot of time through there. He's just on the straights where they're lacking with that Cosworth power unit. That's why for the back rows of cars to line up now, Carmen Jorda, the two Saubers and Max Verstappen right to the back of the grid, and then we can come to the 5 red lights. And now coming to the 5 red lights for the start of the Malaysian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go for what could be the final ever Malaysian Grand Prix. Looks like a good start from Fernando Alonso from the front row, so a good start from our teammate Robbie Kubica as well, pulling out alongside to go 4 wide now with some of the cars in the midfield. Now going all power down in turn 1, so Daniel Kvyat can get up now into P2, try and go make him look up the inside there. Fernando Alonso, but Alonso is just a bit too far ahead into turn 1. They're still going side by side now with Jean-Eric Vergne and Daniel Kvyat, of course the two teammates from last season. Now going to Kvyat on the inside, getting forced onto the grass there by Jean-Eric Vergne, Vergne being very aggressive at the start of this Grand Prix. Now Kvyat trying to hold it on the inside of the championship leader Jean-Eric Vergne, going up now into turn 3 and hold it around the outside as Vergne's managed to get in front there of Daniel Kvyat. We're going to start our time with Sebastian Vettel, force Vettel onto the curb, he gets the compromise line, and we sweep right around the outside of the German. Now to get back to P4 now, Robbie Kubica going side by side now with the lead Toyota of Lewis Hamilton, getting side by side now through the second section. Hamilton trying to hold it around the outside of Robbie Kubica, but Kubica just managed to force his way up the inside. So a good start there from Robbie Kubica, a start that he really needed to make. And looking back to us, we've managed to actually keep it in P4, so despite not the best of starts, we managed to keep it in our starting position for once, so one of the better starts we've had in this season. But now you try and keep with Daniel Kvyat, because through this middle sector, the Red Bull's superior chassis aerodynamics and the superior chassis compared to what we have on our Williams. Don't forget, of course, they're going to pull away through this middle sector. But coming on down to the start finish straight, of course, this back straight we're coming up to now, where we're just getting leaps and bounds on that Red Bull Cosworth with just the difference in pure straight line speed, pure power between our two power units. We've got Sebastian Vettel still looking very racy right behind us, of course. Not much difference between the Ferrari power unit and the BMW power unit, so Vettel is going to be a lot harder to keep behind than what it should be for us to try and get past Daniel Kvyat. Now getting a good look from the rear diffuser of our BMW Williams, getting a good run out of the final corner, actually leaving behind Sebastian Vettel. Vettel not getting the best run out of the final corner, now getting in a lot of the slipstream on the back of Daniel Kvyat. Can Daniel Tyrone make move to Daniel Kvyat there? Goes defensive to the inside line, you can try and hold it around the outside of the young Russian coming into turn 1, so Kvyat's just about going to hold it up the inside line. He's going to keep it side by side with Daniel Kvyat trying to take P3 off from the Russian. Looks like Kvyat's just going to hold it around the outside, gets some good traction around the outside line, and Daniel Kvyat keeps it in P3 for the time being. Still, we're getting in slipstream now on the back. The Red Bull, to see how much more straight line speed we've got over Daniel Kvyat in the Red Bull, but coming now into turn 3, just have to stick behind the Red Bull for a bit longer, and this is just allowing Jean-Eric Vergne and Fernando Alonso to pull away out in front. And you see on the mini-map, they've already got, at least a second gap already, maybe even second and a half, 2 seconds already, with how much Daniel Kvyat's now having to worry about defending from us to try and keep that P3 position. You know, that Red Bull does have pace over 1 lap, but pretty much like last season, season 3, 2016, they've got the pace over 1 lap, but they just haven't got the speed from the power unit to maintain that pace over a race distance. Now coming through the second sector, actually getting purple there through the second sector, so proving we have got some pretty good pace. That's through to go purple. We actually went faster than Dan Alonso and Jean-Luc Van as well, and of course Daniel Kvyat in front of us. So finding some good pace through the second sector in this lap. Of course, I imagine that's just from all the slipstream we're getting off the back of this Red Bull. And of course, no DRS yet. That won't be activated till the start of the next lap. So it's also going to be about pure engine power and pure slipstream now, to whether or not we can make a move on Daniel Kvyat gaining in the slipstream, but Daniel Kvyat gets a good run out of the penultimate corner. Of course, where Perez spun in 2012, which will let Fernando Alonso win the race in the Ferrari. Now coming around the final corner, again, so right behind the back of Daniel Kvyat once again. Now getting a look at a good view once again back at Sebastian Vettel. Once again, we get a good run to the final corner, and Sebastian Vettel just has no answer for us behind. Now getting in the slipstream once again on Daniel Kvyat, going forward to the outside once again of the Russian, coming down into tail one. Should make a move around the outside, but definitely a lot further alongside. We outbrake ourselves. Goes to keep it side by side now with Daniel Kvyat, can hold it, get around the outside, which then turn to the inside for the next corner. And we side by side still Kvyat on the racing line, trying to hold it around the outside once again. As Kvyat got the inside line, Kvyat once again just about managed to defend from us. So great defending so far from Daniel Kvyat to keep it up in P3 ahead of us. We're in arguably a much faster goal. Once again, trying to have a look at the inside, and Kvyat coming into turn forward just for a fake look up the inside, see if we can put Daniel Kvyat off. Now this is still got Sebastian Vettel right up behind us. And then not too further behind is also our teammate Robbie Kubica, and then the lead of the Toyotas of Lewis Hamilton. I was just trying to use every bit of the curb we can, getting a bit squirrely on the exit, a bit on the curbing. That's really not what we need. Lost maybe a tenth or two to Daniel Kvyat and all of that. So just trying to, I think I'm just overdriving the car now, trying to find a way past Daniel Kvyat. We're so much faster than this Red Bull over the laps. This Kvyat just putting in an amazing lap in qualifying to get it up into P3, but this time we will have DRS, which we're within a second of the Red Bull, which coming up now through the sixth sector. We are within a second of Daniel Kvyat. We're just about half a second behind him, so we'll definitely have DRS now, coming up to the detection point now. And see if Daniel Kvyat really is going to have a hard time defending from us now, coming down this back straight. I mean, if we don't get down this straight, surely with the second bite of DRS down the start-finish straight, we should get ahead of that Red Bull. But now we have DRS now on the back of Daniel Kvyat. Of course, Kvyat won't have DRS because he's not within the second. Oh, he's trying to get in front. Sebastian Vettel also has DRS on the back of us, and then Robbie Kubica behind Vettel and still one down the order. Now coming into the final corner, just not quite close enough to make a move up the inside of Daniel Kvyat. Looking around the final corner now, we get the second bite of DRS. Get a good run out the final corner. That's going to be a drag race now down into tail one between ourselves and Daniel Kvyat. Kvyat once again goes defensive to the inside line. Now goes going to breeze right around the outside of the Red Bull like it's standing still. They move aggressively to the inside now to defend from Daniel Kvyat into tail one. Kvyat tries to have a look around the outside, but I think he just has to admit defeat there. But now he goes Jean-Luc Van, forcing Fernando Alonso off the track now, trying to go around the outside of the two-time world champion now, coming up the straight now into turn 4, trying to make the move around the outside of Fernando Alonso. Alonso on the inside line, so Alonso should have it into the corner, but Vettel going to hold it right around the outside. Van gets a bird on the racing line, gets a better exit. Now Van moves in front of Fernando Alonso to move into the lead of what could be the final ever Malaysian Grand Prix. Of course, Alonso is going to be more motivated than ever to take the final victory. What could be the final victory here in Malaysia, of course, for Petronas, because the Petronas Tower is actually not too far from the track. And now look at Adrian Sutter trying to hold it up the inside line of Sebastian Vettel. I mean, fair play to Sutter. I mean, it's his final race, he might as well go for it. And that's following on board with Adrian Sutter, see if he actually keep relatively close to Sebastian Vettel. Of course, I mean, in his final races, I mean, it's going to be hard for Sauber to replicate the points finish that they achieved last race, with Sutter in 10th and Giovinazzi 11th, has elevated up into 9th in the constructors standings. As you see, we can't even see Sebastian Vettel on the same camera shot anymore, is that far in front. Now we've got Lewis Hamilton in the Toyota, of course, also made his stop on the lap we did as well, and they're gaining in the slipstream on the back of the Sauber. And they're coming on down into the hairpin. Hamilton going to try and make a move on the inside, now he just sticks behind the Sauber of Adrian Sutter. Now coming on now through the second sector, despite how slow the Sauber is with its lack of aerodynamics, there's just nothing that Hamilton can really do to make a move on the Sauber through here. He has to be patient and wait for the start-finish straight or the back straight if he gets a good enough run. Now coming up now through this sweeping right-hander, now coming up into what is the most difficult corner in Formula 1 according to many, that left-hander. And now it's going to be Toyota power with DRS versus pure Cosworth power. Then it's going to be Sauber v Lewis Hamilton in the Toyota. Now Hamilton can pull to the inside of Adrian Sutter, coming up now into the final corner. Can Sutter try and hold it around the outside of the 2008 world champion? He'll try, even if he tries to hold it around the outside, there's just enough downforce on that Sauber for Sutter to be able to hold it around the outside. Now Sutter drops down in another position, but I'm pretty sure he's just going to be enjoying his final race in Formula 1, also on a set of soft tyres. So imagine Sutter trying to do a one-stop, trying to get somewhere close to the points positions when I go defend from one of the Hasses coming up behind. Now coming a bit further on from that, you've actually got Max Verstappen now actually leading the Grand Prix, also on a set of soft tyres as well. So Verstappen also probably trying to do a one-stop in this race as well. Now it's got Jean-Luc Van coming up right behind him. And of course Fernando Alonso right up behind the back of the championship leader as well. Now coming up now into the final corner, Van gaining in the DRS on the back of Max Verstappen, getting a great panning shot here around the final hairpin. Verstappen keeps it in front, so Verstappen staying out for another lap. And Verne actually getting a poor run out of the final corner, actually dropped back quite a bit from Max Verstappen in front. That could leave Verne vulnerable now to Fernando Alonso in the Mercedes. Alonso trying to commit his tail on. Verne goes defensive to the inside line. We've got Alonso trying to hold it around the outside of the championship leader. Around the outside, which will then turn to the inside for the next corner as well. As Verne also on a set of soft tyres, just noticed Fernando Alonso on a set of super soft tyres, so it's crucial here that Alonso tries to get past Jean-Eric Verne to not ruin his second stint of the race, because Alonso will be stopping earlier. He's gone to a set of soft tyres at the end of the race. We're coming up now into turn 4. Alonso is just going to stick behind Jean-Eric Verne for a bit longer. Now cutting all the way now onto lap 16. Pretty much nothing happening once again. We're just in this no man's land behind Fernando Alonso and just in front of Sebastian Vettel. So keeping the pace pretty even to Sebastian Vettel. Now we've got a yellow flag though up in front. There's a car pulled off the inside. Jean-Eric Verne is out of the Grand Prix. The championship leader Jean-Eric Verne is retired from the Grand Prix. Don't believe it. Rotten luck for Jean-Eric Verne once again. All just seems to be going wrong now for Jean-Eric Verne. Now we're going to dive into the pits. I did this lap. There's apprehending a safety car. Williams was expecting a safety car. Kiss you come in now, so you can get what could be a free pit stop. Just like Fernando Alonso in front of us. That's the same idea as well, and is coming to the pits at the same lap as us. Alonso actually gets held in the pit box there for us because we haven't even made our stop yet, so we're not going to get out in front of the two-time world champion. Now making our final stop to go into a set of the soft tyres now, and these soft tyres will take us to the end of the Grand Prix. And imagine that Fernando Alonso is on the set of soft tyres as well. They come down to turn 1, there's going to be any traffic holding us up behind. Coming down to turn 1, I can't see any because Alonso actually on a set of medium tyres. So Alonso clearly, has Alonso not got any sets of soft tyres left? But Mercedes clearly didn't think they could get to the end on the set of soft tyres, but on a set of mediums. They're cutting a bit further on now, looking a bit further back at one of the midfield backs. And Camille Kobayashi now getting in slipstream on the back of Nico Hülkenberg. Going down to the final corner, Kobayashi to try and go around the outside now of Nico Hülkenberg, coming up now into the final corner. Going to battle the pit straight now. Actually, no, they're coming into the pit lane. Actually, it's going to be side by side in the pit lane. Kobayashi's been forced into the pit lane by Nico Hülkenberg. He's going to back out here, going to the pit lane. It's going to be Kobayashi who backs out of it and lets Hülkenberg go back through. But now Kobayashi's been forced into the pit lane by the Renault. This could have ruined his race. Is he going to stop? He's going to drive straight through. I mean, the pit crew are out for him. I mean that's pretty much a last second decision. I mean, Toyota might as well change his tyres whilst he's in the pit lane. I mean, he's not going to lose anything. He's going to come back in front. Is he going to get out in front of Nico Hülkenberg? In the Renault, can't see Hülkenberg. So Kirby actually has come out in front of Nico Hülkenberg. So is the Haas of Lawrence Stroll and one of the Toros as well come out in front of Nico Hülkenberg. So a terrible stop there from Renault. They've just seen their number 1 driver lose 3 positions to. And now Hülkenberg's going to have to fight to gain back these positions. And they're cutting a bit further on. Vettel's now catching up to the back of Fernando Alonso. So Alonso on that set of medium tyres is really not finding the pace that he needs. Because the medium tyres won't wear out as quick as Vettel's soft tyres, but because with how durable the tyres are, it's not really making that much of a difference. Now Vettel gaining into the final corner, not quite getting enough on the back of Fernando Alonso. Now coming down the start finish straight. Once again, Sebastian Vettel will now have a second bite of DRS to try and make a move on Fernando Alonso. They're coming down the start finish straight. Alonso goes defensive to the inside. No, Vettel goes even more to the inside now. Trying to make the same move on us, so he did on the inside of Fernando Alonso. Alonso trying to hold it around the outside. Of course, it's going to mean so much to Mercedes and to Petronas if Alonso can take a victory, but he gets a poor run there through turn 1, and Alonso drops down behind 5-turn 1 champion Sebastian Vettel. Alonso's got to pull out something pretty special here. He's also trying to take the lead back from Sebastian Vettel. Now cutting all the way now onto the final lap of the Grand Prix, lap 28. We've fallen away quite a bit from Fernando Alonso, of course, because BMW just turning our engine down because there's no point fighting Fernando Alonso. We just couldn't get close enough to him and got down a couple behind us, quite some way behind us in P4. So there's no any challenge. Williams just turning our engine down. Now looking up at Sebastian Vettel now, coming up down the back straight for the final time. Got one of the Saubers up in front of him because they're not going to pose any threat. So that Sauber, whichever Sauber it is going to finish on the lead lap. And now Sebastian Vettel coming up to the finish line. And now Sebastian Vettel wins the Malaysian Grand Prix. Also the first victory he took here for Malaysia, so he takes his first victory for Ferrari here in Malaysia and takes what the final could be the final victory in Malaysia, with Fernando Alonso coming home in second. But I mentioned that Petronas and Mercedes will still be quite happy with that, and we round off the podium for Williams in third. Now looking at again, very happy with Sebastian Vettel's driving. I mean, Vettel was just absolutely on it in that final stint of the race. I don't know what pace he was hiding for this race, but Sebastian Vettel takes victory in what could be the final ever Malaysian Grand Prix, and takes, more crucially, 20 points out of his teammates Jean-Eric Verne's championship lead. Of course, Verne will still be leading the championship, but his gap at the top has been pretty much halved by Vettel winning this race.